Okay, so I'm going to go through factoring a worksheet. I got a feeling this video is going to get a little bit long, so make sure that if you guys have got it correct, then just kind of skip to the part that you need help with. So starting off with number one here, we're going to have bracket, x and an x. My numbers need to multiply to -6, add to 5, or -5. So let's go, well, let's try 3 and 2. So 3 and 2, I'd say, okay, it needs to be negative, so one's got to be a negative, one's got to be a positive. Well, here's where the problem comes up. Negative and a positive, that's not going to work. You know, positive and a negative, that's not going to work. So I probably got my numbers wrong here. There's a few of these kind of ones where there's two that work. What about 6 and 1? That can also get us to 5. So if we did that, we have -6 and positive 1. That one works out. Okay, 2. Okay, so my numbers need to multiply to -12, add to -1, the middle number. That ended up being -4 and 3. So if I write this out, we've got 2t squared minus 4t plus 3t minus 6. I'm going to factor this part first. So this is going to, I can factor out a 2t, and I'm left with t minus 2. And then I've got plus, I can factor out a 3 out of this, so 3, and then t minus 2. My factors for this now are going to be t minus 2 and 2t plus 3. Okay, this one, we're just going to bracket x, and there's going to be this style of 1. There's going to be a y on the end too, so x and a y. And my numbers need to multiply to +6, add to -5. So what about 2 and 3? If I do that, so that's +6. And what about a negative and a negative? That would get us to -5 if we were adding those. So that'd be that one. Okay, this one. Okay, so there's my numbers. Need to multiply the -60, add to +11. 15 and -4 do that. So if I rewrite this, I've got 10x squared plus 15x minus 4x minus 6. Factoring just this part, we can factor a 5 out of that, so 5 and an x. And I'm left with 2x plus 3. Factoring out a -2 out of this one, so -2. I'm left with x plus, or sorry, 2x. 2x plus 3. My factors are 2x plus 3 and 5x minus 2. So 5x minus 2 is where that came from. Okay, 5. All right, so for this one, you can't do it. So that's why at the beginning of this it says factor completely if possible. So this one's not possible. There's nothing that multiplies to 40 and adds to 13. So, okay, number 6. Okay, this one, you can factor a -3 of all of this first. So let's factor out a -3 first. So -3, and I'll be left with y squared plus, because if you go -9y, or -9, and you divide by -3 that we took out, you get a positive number. You get a positive 3y, and this becomes positive 2. Now we just factor this out like we normally would. So this would be bracket. It's going to be a y and a y. Number that multiplies to 2 adds to 3, that's going to be 2 and 1, and both positive. So that's it for that one. This one, you can just make your brackets right off the bat. We've got, say 10 and 2 would work. So negative and negative, though. Oh, I forgot my x's. Okay, number 8. So I found multiply to +12, add to -8, -6, and -2 are the numbers we're looking for. So we can rewrite this as 4x squared minus 6x minus 2x plus 3. Let's factor this part first and then that part. I can factor the 2 out of that, so we got and an x, so 2x. I'm left with x minus 3. I'm going to factor just a -1 out of this. And I forgot the 2 over here. Sorry, there was 2x minus 3. I could tell because I wasn't going to get the right answer over here. So minus. That's all I can take out, so just minus, and then really minus 1 is what we're doing. So minus 1, and then still I have 2x minus 3 because I factor the negative out of that, right? So our factors are 2x minus 3 and 2x minus 1. Number 9. Okay, so I got 15 and 5 for my numbers there. So let's rewrite this as 3m squared minus 15m minus 5m plus 25. Looking at just this part now, we can factor out a 3 out of that and an m. So we've got m minus 5 left. I'm going to factor out the negative 5 out of this part, so negative 5. Start my bracket. I've got m. Now this symbol switches because I factor out the negative, so negative 5. So my factors are m minus 5 and 3m minus 5. All right, 15. Okay, so I got 20 and 6 for the numbers. So let's rewrite this. We've got 15k squared plus 20k plus 6k plus 8. Factor out this part. I can factor a 5 and a k out of that. I've got left 3k. Here I've got 5 out of that, be 4, so plus 4. Now I can factor 2 out of this, so plus 2. And then I have 3k plus 4. So 3k plus 4 and 5k plus 2. Sorry, my writing's getting a little messy there. All right, 11. Right off the bat, I can pull out a common factor to this. I can pull out a 2 and an x. And I'm left with 2x squared minus 7x plus 3. Now this 2x is just kind of hanging out front. So now I just treat this like a normal one. My two numbers need to multiply to 6, and they need to add to negative 7. So that's going to be negative 6 and negative 1. So let's rewrite this. 2x squared minus 6x minus 1x plus 3. Let's factor out this part. I'm just going to write this 2x again just up top, or up front. And I can factor out the 2 and an x here. So 2x, and what I have left is just x minus 3. Over here I'm going to factor out a negative 1, so negative 1. And I have x minus 3. Close that bracket. So in total I have 2x, and then I've got x minus 3 and 2x minus 1. These little ones I find students can be kind of tricked by. They just have common factors, so I can just factor out a 3 and an a, and what I'm left with is a plus 2. That's it. That's the whole answer. All right, difference of squares. Perfect square, perfect square, perfect square, perfect square. So I can just do my bracket thing. Square root of 25 is 5. Square root of a squared is, or sorry, a to the 4 is a to the 2. Let's put a minus sign first, could have been a plus sign. And then square root of 9 is 3. Square root of y to the 4 is just y squared. I've got the same thing over here, but a plus sign. That's it. This one will probably make a bit more sense if you just swapped these numbers around first. So what if we rewrote this as 9k squared minus 1? Maybe that didn't help, I don't know. Remember that 1 is a perfect square as well, right? So we can just put this as a perfect square. This would be 3k minus 1, and then 3k plus 1. 15, another perfect square. This is just m, here I'll put my brackets first, m squared minus 4, m squared plus 4. This isn't actually going too bad. I thought this would take longer. So this one, look for anything that's common here. You might have noticed, so that's a perfect square and that's a perfect square, but these aren't. So we can't do our perfect square method thing here. But we can just factor out what's common to both. So let's factor out a 2 and an a squared out of that. And we end up with 18, we still have an a, minus 2. And that'd be it, as far as we can go. Okay, if you wonder why there's a space here, I just took out a question, so that's why it jumps. Okay, is there anything common that we can take out to kind of make this mess a bit easier? Yeah, we can take, I can see here we've got m's and n's in every one of them. So what's the smallest n I can take out? Well, just n. Numbers I can't do anything because there's no numbers that are similar. But I can take an n out, and I can take m to the 4 out. And what I have left is 6 m to the 2, that's it, plus 7 m n, and then plus 2 n squared. And we know what to do with that. We can factor that. So our numbers need to multiply to 12, and they need to add to 7. So 3 and 4. So let's just leave this stuff out front. This n times m to the 4. Just leave that. And we've got 6 m squared plus 3 mn, right? Because I'm just rewriting this term, right? So that's still going to be mn. And 4 mn. And then plus 2n squared. Okay, so I've still got n m to the 4 out, just hanging out front. I'm going to factor out what I can out of these first two. So that's going to be, I can take a 3 out of there. So 3, and I can take out an m. So 3m. And I'm left with in there 2m plus n. Now the next one, it's going to be plus, I can factor out a 2 and an n. And what I have left in there is going to be 2m plus n. And then the brackets, and I'm kind of running out of room here. I'm going to write this over here. What I have left is n m to the 4, just that thing that was hanging out front, times 2m plus n times 3m plus 2n. Sorry about the m's and n's. I know they sound so similar, but yeah, that's it at the end. And that was a bit of that was a tougher one for sure. Okay, so this one's already kind of set up for factoring by grouping. So let's just factor by grouping that part and that part. So this is going to just be an x that I take out, and what I have left is x plus 3. If I factor out a 6 out of this one, it's going to be 6 and then x plus 3. So my factors are x plus 3 and x plus 6. Okay, 19. Last one. And it's an easy one. Difference of squares. It's going to be an a there and an a there. It's going to be a 2 and a 2. One will be a minus, one will be a positive. That's it. Okay, hopefully you found that useful. That's going to be it for that video.